Hello, how's it going? How are you all? Well, hey, thanks for joining us on this live stream. We jumped right in, just like that, really quickly to get started with what's happening around the world. If you didn't see the video that talks about, well, that talks about the NOAA warning for what's coming this year, for what's coming in the next few weeks, and this hurricane season, please check out the video. And there we also already gave an update on Ebola. But let's move on to geopolitics. Let's go with the information about what's happening in these conflicts. Thousands of soldiers from the United States are moving toward Europe, toward NATO territory. But in a twist where, look, whether it's one thing or another, the point is that those soldiers, those thousands of US soldiers in the end, are getting closer to Russia. You might see that Trump gets along well with Putin, but maybe that's just a distraction, because the truth is, he just sent 5,000 soldiers to the border with Russia, which is no small thing. And this, well, I mean, I think Putin is already noticing it. He's already seeing it, and I don't think he's very happy about it. Let's get to the information. Let's talk about what's happening in Israel, what's happening in other regions of the world. Right here in Mexico, what's happening in Argentina. Well, several issues. There are some interesting things happening in the world. So thank you for joining us. Go ahead and give us a like. Where are you watching us from? Please leave a comment telling us where you're tuning in from. We still have some unfinished business from the previous broadcast. Thanks to that question. We'd love to know which country, which city you're watching us from. All right, let's get into the details. We're ready here. In fact, we just came from a live stream literally just now. We hadn't even started yet. How does it go? How have you been? Thank you so much for being here. Look, let's start with this topic, because we have to go straight to the map, since the United States had specifically in Ramstein. Let's see if we can do this quickly with the place. It's spelled with an R, right? R Ramstein, right? Ramstein. This is Ramstein, right? Like the band, right? Yes, that's it. Here's the base, one of the most important. Well, the little town of Ramstein, this little town lives off the base because there are thousands. Well, there used to be thousands of American soldiers here. Yes, it was a little town that lived, thanks to the fact that the American soldiers were there. Well, suddenly the United States gets angry with this, what's his name? With Mers, right? And takes them away, then leaves, right? So look at what happens. Look at the distance where it was from Germany. It wasn't just in Germany. It was at the point farthest from Russia. Yes, here is Russia on this side. Now look how much it advances towards Germany. Yes, towards Russia. Sorry. So if we're looking at the map, let's zoom in a little now. Just imagine, picture this. There are 5,000 soldiers that they took from here, from Ramstein, and sent them to Poland. Yeah. So let's see, or more or less. How far is it? Or how close are they getting to Russia? It's like suddenly the soldiers, the 5,000 soldiers, move 800 kilometers closer. Towards where? Well, towards Belarus, towards Russia. Because look, I mean, you're really already right next to Russia. This is Kaliningrad. This is already Russia. I mean, really, it's an incredible move, isn't it? I insist, what is the United States seeing? They claim Trump backed down, is pulling away from Russia, and other things like that. And they even went so far as to say, because they had announced, yes, they're going to send soldiers to Poland. And then later they said, no, actually, they're not going to send them. That's what they said. Do you remember? And now, yes, he's already sending them. The United States is sending 5,000 additional soldiers to Poland because there were already soldiers in Poland. By the way, the United States has a base there. Well, NATO has a base there. The Trump administration said they would withdraw troops from Germany and later reduce forces elsewhere in Europe. Now, not only are they not reducing them, but they're actually increasing and confirming them. Polish authorities announced this week the arrest of citizens suspected of spying. For NATO. Well, actually for Moscow to monitor NATO, what are they doing? Poland. Or at least that's what they say. Detected 3 citizens. That is, Polish citizens. But they were working for Russian interests investigating or providing information about NATO's movements. I want to send a special greeting to Carlos, who's over there in Poland, right? And to all the Hispanic friends who watch us over there in Poland. Thank you very much. Leave us a comment. What he told me at the time, it's been a while since I talked to him, but he said that you could see movement. It looked kind of militarized since the war with Ukraine began. Remember?
Yes.
But back then, and with the reports coming in, it's about getting ready. They don't want to just trust things like they did in previous wars.
Yes, the attitude of the population and the government in Poland is very different from that of European countries like Germany or France. Here, those people are already mentally prepared to defend their country.
Exactly. So the Polish authorities announced this arrest, and the Pentagon has decided, I don't know if it's because of that or for another reason, but they've decided to send these 5,000 soldiers. The United States already has, just to give you an idea of what it means, bases in Europe right now. The United States has 80,000 soldiers stationed in Europe. And from that perspective, you can understand the frustration of the United States saying, hey, wait a minute, I have almost 100,000 soldiers there. It was like, at the very least, you should have sent a little ship or something regarding Iran, right? I mean, looking at it that way, you say, well, I have too much invested there. At least show some intention. No, don't get involved. Just do the bare minimum, like the United Kingdom, which just sends planes to circle and stop drones. It's something, but not everyone does it. No, not me either. So in that sense, well, I also mean you have to look at it from different points of view, right? And that's another point of view. When you see the number of soldiers they have, you realize it's a foothold. It's an investment. Yeah, right? It's a big investment because you have to pay salaries, food, training, weapons, sometimes with family. It's often like that. And they usually go with family. Exactly. So it's a big investment. And that, in the end, gives Europe confidence and also gives influence to the United States, right? I mean, obviously there too. Well, they have their own interests, right? That's how it's worked up until now. And actually just look at how the Gulf War was. The problem, and that's really Trump's mistake, is not having told them, not having warned them about anything at all, because Europe wasn't prepared and didn't even have enough gas and oil reserves to keep prices from going up so much. So not being prepared really bothered the Europeans, and also the fact that in this situation they have to buy oil from ghost ships just to more or less keep prices in check, right? Exactly. Entonces, well, that's the situation. Of the 80,000 soldiers, the largest contingent, 38,000, were in Germany. Out of the 38,000, they only reduced 5,000. There are still about 32,000, right? 33,000. So they still have 33,000 soldiers in Germany. So taking out 5,000 doesn't mean they've already abandoned Germany. No. It's just like a little punishment, right? Like saying, hey, you might be misbehaving, right? And I take away 5,000 soldiers and send them to Poland. Like I said, for Russia, I don't think this is good news, a good sign, right?
Yes, well, and also we have to remember that there are already 10,000 soldiers in Poland. Now there will be 15,000 soldiers.
I mean, no, that's no small thing. That's no small thing.
Imagine what that would be. I mean, if suddenly Russia said, no, well, we're going to send 15,000 soldiers to Cuba, just to say, for example. I mean, yes, it would be.
It's good that they can.
Yes, I mean, right now they can't because they lack soldiers. But it would be a huge issue. Now, where it really wasn't a good day was when it came to Greenland. Because, well, what's being reported is that there were protests because the consulate was opened, right? The United States consulate was opened over there in Greenland, right? Because sometimes we say, I have the Greenland beach, but it's not Greenland, right? With an N. Greenland, hundreds of Greenlanders too. I mean, just imagine Greenland, right? There are like 5,000 inhabitants, right? I mean, there are very few people.
But there are more US soldiers.
It's just that there are Greenlanders. So, I mean, if it's a protest of hundreds of Greenlanders, well, just imagine it's like the Zocalo with 100,000 people or 200,000 or 300,000. I mean, there really aren't that many people. Hundreds of protests. I mean, hundreds of people in protest. Well, obviously that means a major protest. What happened there?
was good. It was a good protest because today there was an opening of the United States consulate and they were outside shouting, yelling at them to go home. This was reported by The Guardian, where they say that the Greenlandic protesters brought a banner with a phrase called Yusa Asu, which means stop the United States. And others were saying Greenland belongs to the Greenlanders. And this is more important now than ever to show the American people what we have already said. Oh, that no means no, and that the future and self-determination of Greenland belong to the people. It's a topic that, well, you see the interviews, like random people on the street, people of all ages, and nobody is interested in belonging to the United States. They say, hey, with Europe, with Denmark, I have guaranteed healthcare, I have guaranteed education, I have many things that the United States won't give me. It's a topic where the United States will have a hard time convincing them.
Yeah, that's the thing, the welfare, right? The welfare that in this case Denmark offers. No. Denmark, well, it's not going to be the same.
No. And how would you feel as an American if they gave that to them and not to you? I mean, it makes you look really bad. So honestly, you can't do much. No.
No, it's not about that. Well, look, Greenland is a country. It's a country. Well, yes, it acts like a country and
Territory.
an independent territory, right? But it's still a country that has the benefit of European welfare. And, well, they don't want the benefit of the lack of American welfare. I mean, because that's the reality. I mean, they don't have that level. People don't think that way. In the United States, people think very differently. And, well, there are people who like it and there will be people who don't. But the Greenlanders, in that sense, want to keep having that welfare. And they're not going to be convinced just because someone offers them something or says, I'll give you some money. I don't know what else.
Yes, because they've been offered that. And, well, obviously, it's not like they can give you $2,000 or $3,000 just to say a number, but that's not going to pay for a doctor or a university, which is currently free.
And also, because you know what the intention is. I mean, the intention is resources. They want resources from there. But the Greenlanders don't want nature destroyed. They want things to stay comfortable and unchanged. With that, it's enough for them to live, to eat for whatever they need, and that's enough. And the Danes have no intention of pushing for that. I mean, not pushing for resources. They want to respect that.
Exactly. The people, the native community, the Inuit of this country, they actually have extra privileges because of several things they've experienced with the Danes. So, well, they would lose all of that too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Let's move on to other topics, right? Let's talk about other important matters. There's a topic that comes up today in the New York Times that's interesting for friends living in Venezuela, but also to understand how the movements around this, well, ultimately Maduro's removal, are happening. It's truly a tremendous topic. That's how we started the year. But it was only January 3rd, 2026, and Maduro was already being taken by force with helicopters, soldiers, and so on. Well, that's the story. But finally, notice how much time passed when ExxonMobil and other companies didn't want to invest. No, they weren't interested in oil because there's heavy investment and instability in Venezuela. But today, the New York Times reveals that ExxonMobil is now entering negotiations to extract oil in Venezuela. According to what is known, this American oil company is already, well, preparing or working on what it would take to create that possibility. According to what the New York Times says, it stated that the agreement will be announced at the end of this month and will allow Exxon to produce oil in 6 oil fields in Venezuela. It's very interesting for Venezuelans from an economic point of view. You also mentioned who they're negotiating with. Or are they negotiating with Delcy, who may be becoming a very shrewd politician in the sense that she says, well, look, I can do business and transactions and deals with the United States, but I'm going to have the protection of the United States, and that way I stay in power. Is that going to be the approach? Maybe. And the question here for the people living in Venezuela and for everyone, obviously, is whether that's what was being sought, whether that was the ideal. So what's going to happen then with the people who wanted elections, and what happens with Maria Corina? I mean, with that whole movement, lately, I don't feel like it's really there. I mean, from being a movement where there was news every day, lately they've been very quiet, right? Yes, basically, it's just the government that's left, right?
In Venezuela, well, very well settled. That's the reality today. For example, they allowed the United States to do a drill in case of an emergency. And in Venezuela, let's say the relationship has flourished because they let the United States do whatever it wants to the United States.
They have no other choice now. Exactly. Well, let's move on to other matters, to other topics as well. Months. Predictions start coming out about what the rise in oil prices is or will be like because of what's happening right now, right? And the because right now, I mean, the good news is that oil prices are more contained, the price is going down. That kind of gives us a breather to say, well, maybe things are going to get better. But the experts say or anticipate that this isn't it. For starters, they say right now the price is kind of subsidized, gasoline is subsidized. It's not at the price it should be with oil like that. I mean, with oil at over $100. Why is it semi-subsidized? Because there are countries that have reserves, because whether you like it or not, there's still some oil in the market. But the moment there starts to be more and more scarcity, that's going to make gasoline and diesel go up in price. There's a travel season coming up where, well, a lot of fuel is used, right? I mean, during the whole summer, the use of gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, whatever you want goes up, right? Gas, planes, whatever. All these things start being used a lot more. And that causes prices to go up even more. De cal a seguimiento de precios. According to a forecast from, for example, an app that tracks, they made their own prediction. It's called Gas Body. And they claim that in the next few weeks, prices could spike.
Eje. Right, that's the national average. Some places like California are pricier, while others like Texas are cheaper. The average is expected to be $4.80 per gallon. This is between Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day, which, as Pepe mentioned, are some of the times when there's the most movement, but you can already start to see difficulties among the population. According to surveys, out of every 10 Americans, 6 say that it's becoming very difficult to pay for gas. And 77% think that prices are rising much faster than their wallets can afford. Since it's a recurring expense, you can't just decide not to spend on it, right? Especially in certain cities that are very large, like California, where it's very difficult to get around on foot, like New York.
That are not friendly.
For pedestrians, right?
Exactly. So Texas is also not friendly at all.
It's not friendly at all. So, well, this projection is due to 2 things: higher demand because of the summer, and also the issue of the war with Iran, which keeps raising the price of oil. And in fact, there's already an international warning, right? Let's see. Yes. The oil market. What they're saying right now is that, according to experts, it's going to enter a red zone because there's already a supply shortage. These last 2 months, they've been releasing the raw reserves, and there's no end in sight yet, even though every day everyone says, no, this is it. It's going to be fixed. We're getting to the end. There's just a few things left to fix, but no, it's not getting resolved. This is what the executive director of the International Energy Agency, Fatih Birol, warns about, where he says that also the problem, just like in the United States, is that at the end of June, end of June, beginning of July, the travel season starts, and the general demand for oil rises a lot during all the travel. And that's why, for this very reason, traveling is going to be even more expensive, right?
Well, maybe yes. I mean, you have to check. I don't know. Those who already have plans and have already bought tickets, that's great. But those who are just about to buy might have to pay a little more than usual, just so you keep that in mind. Well, yes, some hotels are supposedly offering discounts and everyone is looking for ways to save.
The truth is that people are already right.
Exactly. I mean, that's why they're offering discounts and everything, so that people come because they know prices are going to go up. And also that there's a recession problem. I mean, that's a reality. There's a recession problem. Look at Moody's. Moody's just downgraded Mexico's rating. the level that Mexico has right now, the next step down is already junk bonds, junk bond level. I mean, it's a point. Mexico is at a very risky point. Right now, not much is being said about this, but Mexico is at a very, very risky point. They don't like to talk about that in the morning press conference. Always. And that's a big problem I see. One thing is wanting to see things from the positive side. Another thing is avoiding reality. Look, we have to be optimistic. Of course, and of course, Mexico has a lot of potential, and Argentina and Chile and all the countries have potential. Yes, but the potential won't shine until we face reality. And the problem with politicians is that they don't like to face reality because they feel like they're being blamed. It's not against you. I mean, really, it's just that if you don't see reality, you don't improve, you don't move forward. That's basically it. So it's like going to an athlete and he does everything wrong and you tell him, very good, bravo, you're doing great, just so he doesn't get upset, the athlete. No, I mean, tell him, look, you're doing this wrong here. You're not eating well doing this, and the athlete will get the idea. Pero you realize it's like walking on eggshells, right? I mean, you can't say anything to them. Everything has to be so gentle. You can't even say anything that might bother them, not even with the petal of a rose. And when you tell them, they get offended. They say it's political, that it's because it's the opposition. But no, that's not how it is.
Exactly. I mean, here in Mexico, something we're seeing that I don't think we've ever seen before in history is that in the history of this company, FEMSA, which owns OXXO, they're going to start closing stores. And well, that's not normal. Ladies and gentlemen, they say they have several stores that aren't, well, I imagine quite a few. I mean, it's not just one or two. It must be a considerable number. Right now, there are 1,100 OXXO stores all over Mexico, just in Mexico. Obviously, we're not counting the ones in other countries. But some of these aren't making a profit anymore. So they're going to close them. What they do plan is to expand what they call niche OXXO stores. What are those niche OXXO stores? Well, the ones they set up. For example, in very hard to reach places where very few people can get to. In an industrial park, in corporate offices, there are OXXO stores, very small, but they have the basics for people who can't leave because the place is very far away or because it's a hassle to go somewhere else.
I've seen that in universities too.
They're adding them to universities and parks. So what?
Tiny, super tiny, super tiny. But today that
They really come in handy.
cease, that really come in handy. Today, if you want water or something else, you just go buy it. That's interesting. So 7-Eleven, all those small stores, right? Same.
It has 24,455 stores.
24,000.
I said just 1,000 here on the block. No, 24,450. 24,455. Yes. Yeah, man, that's a lot. And that's apart from the little mom and pop stalls and stores. The typical grocery stores. I mean, there are a lot of them. And even these kinds of companies, which are basically corporations at the end of the day, are having a hard time. Yeah. Imagine how smaller companies are doing, family businesses that don't get the same prices. I mean, because for them, OXXO stores are run by lots of different owners. I mean, each OXXO has an owner, right? In theory. So in theory, they get cheaper prices because they buy in bulk, and that makes things cheaper. People with their own small store don't usually experience that. Imagine how they're handling things now, right?
Yes. The closures will mainly be in Southeast Mexico, since things remain the same here in the north. So stores are still giving good returns, but in the southeast part of Mexico, not so much anymore. Why? Because there are many states that depend on remittances, and the remittances aren't coming in.
Well, be careful with that issue too, because with the moves Trump made regarding remittances, that's also a factor. Greetings to Antonio. How have you been? All the way to Guadalajara. Huge shout out to Maestro Shifu. How have you been? Says Breaking Girl. Tigre Zero, La Máquina Zero. They're about to stop playing soccer and are on the field now. There's a match. How much?
Attention here.
Are you betting? What are you betting?
How much? How much are you betting on the Tigers?
Just finished taking exam.
Tigers 52. The second one that up quiz. They're on. The second half is starting. With the Pumas and Cruz Azul. Awesome. No, well,
Okay.
Pumas. Yes, me and you have Tigres. Yes. It's just that you put a tiger. I don't know if it's a brand, not Pumas. There are no Pumas, right? In the Roblox greetings. How have you been? MT, awesome. Libran, how are you? How have you been? Greetings, he says. Pumas are in the grand final, says Francisco Arce. Awesome, Francisco. Well, let's see how they do. Hopefully, right? They have a good team. Let's go on to other important matters as well. And now there are some very interesting tensions with Belarus because they were participating until today when the Russia-Belarus nuclear exercises ended. Obviously, there was going to be a reaction from Ukraine, from NATO, and so on. First, Lukashenko. What does Lukashenko say? Well, Lukashenko is always very clever too, because he says yes to Putin on everything except war. I mean, every time we do an exercise of saying, today I can drop a bomb, nuclear ones, and you can put the nuclear bombs wherever you want. But when it comes to escalating the conflict, he says, no, I won't let you down, buddy, but I don't like war, man. So basically, Lukashenko came out today and said, hold on, calm down, calm down. Lukashenko says that Belarus is not going to get dragged into the war in Ukraine. He says he doesn't blame Ukraine. But anyway, he says no, they're not going to get dragged into the war and assures that in any case, if necessary, they will defend themselves with Russia. But that's it. The Belarusian president dismissed today the idea that Belarus will enter the conflict. Obviously, he took a swipe at Zelensky, but on that subject, he says they don't plan to enter the conflict because Ukraine currently suspects that there will be an attempt to enter from the north. In fact, that's what the chief of staff says. Of course,
Zelensky said it. Syrskyi, who oversees all security forces in this situation. But anyway, today Zelensky also said there was movement on the Belarus border and in Minsk, and well, he sends a warning to Minsk. Sorry, which is the capital, not to enter Ukrainian territory. He warns them that they will have to respond. The government of Ukraine has already said several times that they don't want a war with Belarus, that they feel very close to this country, just as they felt with Russia, honestly. But the Ukrainian defense forces and the security forces and our intelligence know what the threats are and how to respond to them properly, without any doubt. So that's the warning they give in case, well, it happens, right? But, I mean, look, Lukashenko has held on for 4 years.
4 years.
4 years without setting foot there. I mean, things have been launched from there, like drones. That's where the Russian soldiers entered the first time. Yes, that's right. Well, at the beginning in February,
it has stuck to that line to avoid getting fully involved. Also because he knows that many Belarusians help Ukraine and that some are soldiers taking part in the war in Ukraine, and they could later become their own opposition or their own...
It could blow up on him.
It could blow up on him, exactly.
The situation in Belarus isn't ideal for him either.
It's not the best, and he has managed to maintain a certain order, even a certain prosperity. Unlike Russia, they have managed to maintain a certain level of prosperity. They have managed not to be so isolated. And this, well, that well-being, so to speak, sito. And the truth is that many of these travel YouTubers who go around there and not only go to Minsk, but also go to small towns and everything. Hey, it's different from the small towns in Russia where the cars look really worn out and beat up. It says here, the truth is that everything looks fine, even for being a country, well, very much under a dictator or whatever you want to call it. Well, a lot of people are, let's say, very modern in the sense that they're tattooed, you know, full of piercings and stuff, that kind of thing. You don't feel that rigidity that maybe you do see, for example. You know, where in this place, what's it called? In Moldova. This place that Russia has.
Yeah,
in Transnistria.
Transnistria is like the 60s.
There, it feels like you're traveling back to the city's past. I mean, everything feels more closed off, more contained, more censored. But here in Belarus, I mean, just check out the images, but it feels a bit more European. Yeah, even with a lot of American brands that you can find there, if you buy from them.
They've asked Belarusians how they feel, if they feel more European or Russian, and they always say European. But if you look at their faces, their attitude, right? They're super different.
Yeah. Well, it has that characteristic. So I think Lukashenko has played a double role in that sense, right? He's quite an interesting character in that sense. He's still a character who looks out for himself and all that, but he's a different kind of character, right? With a situation that's different from Russia's. Now, another thing is, well, you already mentioned what Zelensky said, right? Well, let's move on to other matters. The situation, since we're already talking about Russia, refining in central Russia is paralyzed. Central Russia is at a standstill when it comes to refining. According to reports, after the latest attacks, refining has simply come to a halt. The fires, the columns of smoke that are still seen over there, well, one day it's the refineries, another day it's the gas, another day it's the pipelines. I mean, every day it's changing. But the point is that just in this 2026, there have already been dozens of refineries, some that have been attacked 3, 4, even 5 times. I mean, the same refineries. So, no, it's not a minor problem. I mean, it's a problem that can't be minimized. Refinery operations have been partially or totally shut down, and they already exceed 83 million metric tons per year, around 238,000 tons per day, that have been paralyzed. And this basically represents between 25 to 40%. They estimate what's currently paralyzed, repair it, put it back into operation, but it breaks down again, so they fix it again. That's the cycle. It's not a war over the energy issue, which has become super complicated. Ukraine is the victim, especially regarding the electricity issue. They just keep taking hits and end up with blackouts. And now Russia is also experiencing that, right? That part of having an energy problem. Even now, there are gas stations, which is even more serious because of the way they explode. And also, obviously, there are risks for civilians too. It's a really serious issue, right? What else?
Also, another thing that's affecting them besides these Ukrainian attacks is that there have been strikes inside Russia that have impacted pipelines, storage facilities, and well, the situation with Iran has also affected them. Well, yes, one way or another, it's reaching them too. There's
something that's a bit of a side note since we're talking about energy issues, but it's about a shift the planet has taken. Maybe people haven't even noticed. Well, yes, they haven't even noticed. How would we even notice that? But it's been reported that wind and solar energy generated more this past April. Yes, more was generated. For example, gas. So, for the first time in history, wind and solar energy combined surpassed gas for the first time last month. This represents a milestone because before that, it was something unthinkable, something way too far off. According to reports, wind and solar energy combined generate more electricity than gas worldwide. This is for the first time in history. According to the data analyzed by the British group Enver, which is a British group, this group is responsible for analyzing data on energy topics. And well, they have come to the conclusion that for the first time, it has been surpassed. The generation of energy through these two methods, wind and solar, surpassing, I insist, gas. I mean, it's a milestone. It's a milestone. It's something.
It's a turning point.
An achievement, a truly enormous achievement, right? And here's what's interesting. How is it divided, right? I mean, how is the growth of this energy divided? Here's the information. I don't know if this is common knowledge.
It is estimated that the combined production of wind and solar energy grows by 13% year over year. Hold on, well, in several markets, including China, which increased by 14%, the European Union by 13%, Great Britain by 35%, and the US just barely, Australia 17%, Chile 24%, and Brazil 4%. And well, the database analysis reports that there are as many as 35 countries that are using conservative estimates for the countries that have not yet published their figures. So there could be countries like Mexico, right? They are using, or they don't have a number. I mean, they don't. Well, yes, that number in Coahuila we have that, but we hide it. We don't like it, but I don't like to brag. They prefer to say that we use coal. Yes, we use. Well, yes,
it's good. And here in reality, we're using atomic energy and energy on another level that you wouldn't understand. Regular people wouldn't understand. No, when we have a kind of Wakanda type thing, you won't regret it.
But very hidden, very well hidden.
Hidden? No, yes, we see it. Like, no, obviously. But not even with a passport or a visa. Not even with a visa, but still, you can get a green card for yourself. It's a pointless goal. No, this.
It's golden. No quiero nada.
And you'll see Blanca Barceló. How have you been? Christy Kranz, big greetings. Carmen Lares, what's up? How have you been? Very good. Well, let's move on to other interesting topics as well. Today was supposedly a day of negotiation. Yes. And that's why oil started to go down. But since they kept piling on the threats hard, I mean, like, what's it called? Octava. Are we going to use uranium? They were talking about the naval forces and all that.
Well, they also mentioned today, right, that Trump always says that the U.S. Navy, well, the Iranian Navy is underwater. It's sunk. He says that any remaining weapons will be sent to the bottom of the sea.
Let's see, the Navy. Let's see. It's kind of strange. The Navy. The Navy that Trump thinks is destroyed.
Yes, that he always says.
He's going to send it to the... How will he send it to the base? As Fantasmite or Fantasmitas?
Because he really doesn't have, well, he doesn't have anything.
I mean, in any case, they have these little boats, right? I mean, they're armed boats. I mean, they're boats that, you know, could cause you a big problem, right? Remember Ukraine's small boats. They could destroy ships worth over $100 million. They're truly dangerous. President Trump thinks he can reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which is also risky.
Exactamente, dice si el presidente Trump cree through force and warships, he should know that the same navy he claims was destroyed will be the one to send him to the bottom of the sea. This was said by the number 2 of the Revolutionary Guard Navy, whose name is Mohammed Akbar. Well, you know, he said this on television, and honestly, on their television, they talk a lot. He also insisted that despite all the tricks and plans, the Americans have failed time and again when trying to open the Strait of Hormuz.
I mean, I know they're a bit over the top. I mean, the Iranians exaggerate a lot, honestly. But we also have to look at the facts. And the fact is that the Strait of Hormuz is, let's say, open, but in favor of Iran's interest. I mean, Iran decides who gets in and who doesn't. So that's also a reality that can't be denied. Denied, at least up until now. And obviously that bothers people. It bothers the United States because fortunately, we see it as giving the win to the Iranians, right? It's like suddenly saying, no, well, you won because basically you're the only one who can go through there or allow a ship to pass, right? In this case, well, the Chinese, Pakistanis, only those who are on their side, right? They're the ones who can pass, right? But well, that has the United States very upset. And obviously the Gulf countries are extremely upset about this negotiation. Well, with this non-negotiation, because there hasn't been any negotiation yet, right? Anything else? Well, the Gulf countries reacted.
Well, the Gulf countries reacted today because we have to remember that this morning, well, no, since yesterday, they were already saying we already have the office ready, the people in charge of the Strait of Hormuz. On Iran's side, we already have all the paperwork, the costs, etc. Well, the 5 Gulf countries formally rejected today that Iran has authority over the Strait of Hormuz. Since today it created a transit through this route, well, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates sent a letter to the International Maritime Organization, a UN organization, a UN agency for navigation, in which they instruct commercial vessels not to interact with the authorities of the Persian Gulf Strait or cross the waterway using the route designated by Iran. Well, since yesterday, ships have been using it to get out of there. This document was distributed to the IMO. And remember that Iran closed this strait at the beginning of May.
That's how it is, right? That's how it is. Look, something curious has been spread.
Very clear.
In several media outlets, even RT published it. The Russians, right? RT. So they, but it's something I've already seen on many social networks for weeks. Now, they've been talking about this. And it shows how suddenly there are strange things in the US media. Look, it's pay attention to the neck. I mean, it's a person who's talking, an expert. What do they call them? The ones from Fox are known for that. They bring in experts. And you see the expert, like, let's say this is the expert, for example. This is the leader of Hezbollah, right? And he's there talking, right? And then the same person months later, right? You see him like, now we're talking to the I don't know, someone who's protesting with Antifa, right? And he shows up there. And now he's a hacker or something. And it's the same person. So they often use actors to do interviews and to put the story out there, right? And that's really unfortunate because obviously there are people who believe these are real people. But here, what we're seeing, apparently at least, and this isn't the only video, there are several videos, they're wearing a mask, right? Just imagine the masks now look extremely realistic. They're impressive. They're super realistic. They stick completely to your face and you become someone else. Not just covering your neck, which they're clearly not doing very well.
Even for that, they're just kids.
And that's it. You just don't show up there. That's what they've been saying. I don't know if you all feel differently, but it does catch your attention. According to what the social media user says here, people have been puzzled by the neck of a Fox News guest named Robert Howard, who had this on his neck, and they insist that he's not the first one to show up like that, right? So, well, yeah, it is curious. Some people were joking, saying that maybe it was this kind of mask, right? These masks don't look realistic off, but once worn, they appear very real because they fit around the eyes and mouth, showing all features. So that's also, well, that's it.
Maybe it's Tom Cruise.
It's Tom Cruise, right?
He takes it off.
This one, well, yeah, who knows what's going on?
No. You can tell it's a mask.
You can see it. It looks like that, right? Maybe, I don't know. But look, here it is. What's it called?
Imagine how cool you'd be.
Exactly. No. It's like this, but people are there posting and posting photos. It's not, well, I'm not posting. For example, this person was supposed to be at the interview, but it's not the right one, is it? It doesn't seem like it. Well, there are differences, right? Yes.
Differences, yes.
But at least the neck's attached.
It is attached.
At least in that sense. Yes, it works. Well, as for the weird things, who knows, right? No. I don't want to draw any conclusions yet, but yes, at least it's strange. It's strange how these little stunts suddenly pop up, right? Apparently from these media outlets. Let's move on to other matters. Yes, important ones.
Well, today Trump is dealing with the Cuba issue, and it seems like he wants to put on some pressure, even though yesterday he insisted that no, he didn't need to do anything about it. Well, Trump denied that the deployment of this nuclear aircraft carrier the U.S. Nimitz in the Caribbean is meant to intimidate Cuba. He says it has nothing to do with that the United States is interested in sending humanitarian aid to Cuba and also allowing exiles to return to some part of their country if they want to, or to visit, right? Well, he's been questioned about this, right? Why do they have, or why did they send this nuclear aircraft carrier there? Well, in such a tense area, right? Some people think he's making this move as a way to try to win over a part of the US population, because right now, well, Trump just isn't gaining any traction.
No. He's not gaining traction. I mean, he's far from the poll numbers he had at the beginning of the year. And even though he didn't start off very well, he wasn't doing that badly either. And right now, well, he's just not there. He's not. He wants to convince, I imagine, the community in Florida, not the Florida Republicans who have been asking the Republicans for a long time. Marco Rubio, who is of Cuban descent, is also there. Asking politicians to pay more attention to Cuba because in the end, they want to recover. In fact, they are already establishing all the losses suffered by the businessmen who had businesses there because they are now seeking to get them back, right?
But back in the 1950s.
Yes. It can be done. Yes, it can be done. So, well, I mean,
A lot of years have gone by for me.
that's how it is. Remember the business? Well, let's move on to other matters. By the way, there's talk going around that this person is alive, that he somehow made it out of this. But, I mean, because look, I don't know if you remember this guy. Look, let me see if I can show him here. That this man, he was the former president of Iran, who is from a very, very moderate, very conservative wing, let's say, in Iran. No, not moderate, conservative, extremist, right?
Not so much.
Not like Masoud Pezeshkian. I mean, who is more moderate, but not like this one either. What's his name? Moktava and all. I mean, let's say he was more of a middle ground character. That's why suddenly he had a good relationship with some European countries. Even though he was, well, a bit more reserved than Masoud Pezeshkian. But let's say he was a key, important figure in moving toward a calmer Iran in that sense. It is believed that in an attack carried out by the United States and Israel, he lost his life. That's what has been reported. Now, there are details, which still haven't been confirmed with any video or anything, that maybe he might be alive. So maybe, well, this Ahmadinejad, right? This person, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, could be alive. That too.
Exactly. There's also a rumor that the United States and Israel wanted him to lead the country. Well, it could be. It's just that, well, right now, at first they said, well, actually, Trump said it at the beginning. Yes. Gosh, the ones we were going to negotiate with, well, they're already dead. So, well,
Because maybe they themselves.
they themselves, of course, in the attacks, well, they would have taken their life. So, well, the thing is that now there's a rumor that they didn't really lose their life, that they're still around. Well, they haven't appeared in the media or anything. They're completely hidden. Another person who was said to have lost his life was this Ismail, the one who is said to really be a Mossad spy who has also reappeared. He's shown up again.
Yes, he did know that he was alive again, but
He's around. The freeloader's around.
yes, he's around and has more lives than a cat. He's falling.
It's crazy. He survives them all.
He survived several already. Yes, well, that's how things are too. Let's move on to other matters. How have you all been? How have you been doing? Thank you so much for joining us. Luis Pedro Ferrari, how have you been? Emma, a big shout out. Danny Daniel, how are you? He says the father of no.
He says your father said no and that you got divorced.
Let's see. He says phrases.
He says it's a crime, which is why they need witnesses. Love is blind. Marriage gives it its sight back. As he says, as the gardener says, let's be happy.
While we can. Yes, exactly. That's very good. That's very good.
It's very good. Greetings to him.
Greetings to Gibran Huevo Huevone. Greetings. Greetings.
Gibran.
How have you been? Greetings to Luis Pedro Ferrari and Raul Rodriguez. They say men are in charge in Iran, but in the US, Israel, and their allies, men are also in charge, especially when it comes to money. I didn't understand. Greetings, Raul.
How have you been?
Mauro says, would FIFA be willing to suspend the World Cup to avoid putting life on the planet at risk? Really, besides, there's also the thing with FIFA. I mean, it's an international. I know the whole oil thing is going to be really, really tough.
Yeah. It was going to be tough. I mean, because it's no. Right now, it's already, the issue is already in full swing. So, no, I don't see how it's going to be suspended. Here, more than anything, the risk is like, well, that there could be some kind of, what's it called? Well, attacks or things like that. But, well, who knows? I don't know.
And I'll add, nobody knows who they're marrying, but they do know who they're divorcing.
Greetings.
How have you been? Greetings to Fidel Botella. Also, how are you? To Raul Sachs, to MT Brezica, to MT. Sorry, you're here to Ivan Cruz. Greetings, Ivan. And to Dice Sendeño, how are you? To Alpha Phoenix.
Hello there. Greetings, Fidel. How have you been? Also, Mauro, Raul Rodriguez. Greetings to everyone. Luis, what's up?
Greetings to Marita from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Thanks for the info. I don't write much, but I always watch you. It's a pleasure to have you here, Marita Cantero. Hope you participate more.
Often. Awesome. Thanks for commenting.
Greetings to Christy. How are you, Christy?
How are you, Christy? How are things going? Fabian, greetings. Good evening. What's up?
Robbie says he can't see us. Look, what a guy, he says, from here in the city of Monterrey. Greetings.
Greetings. How have you been, my friend? Good evening.
Yeah. Greetings to Adilson, also to Liliana, who says, good evening, Pepe. Greetings. Greetings also to Liliana as well. But Rivas, both Lilianas agreed. She says, good evening to everyone. Greetings to Ashley and Pepe. Great job, Mere. Greetings.
Thank you very much. A big shout out.
Greetings to Rublo, Rublox, MX, and Anna Hex. How are you, Anna Hex? Thanks for gifting a membership.
Anna, thank you so much for the membership.
It went to Alexis0966, and greetings to Wendy, who is watching us from New York.
What's up, Wendy? Greetings to you too.
And to Jose, how's the heat, Wendy? Jose M2065. Jose M2065, who got the second membership that Anna Hux gifted. Look,
Awesome, Anna. Thank you so much.
greetings to Antonio Vasquez, also to I Can Render, to Gabriel Duran, who did an amazing show. Greetings to Blanca Barceló. How are you, Blanca?
Greetings, Blanca. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Walter. How have you been? Wendy, what's up? How do you feel about the heat? Well, it's not as hot now, right? In New York, right? It's calmer now, isn't it? Who else is there? Alexis, right? Also, greetings.
Greetings to Walter, who says, Francisco Arce says, here in Mexico, the gallon is at $5.10.
Yes, it's a bit expensive.
It's a bit expensive, says Gibran Huevone. I feel bad for the new generations. Yes, well, yes. The thing is that it's complicated.
They have both complications and positives. It's a mix of everything. And then it's also a time of a lot of opportunity, right? I'm just saying, I wish I had that kind of opportunity in my time. I mean, just imagine having that, I don't know, at 15 years old. The whole thing about social media, it would be super, super cool for me. I mean, for me, I would be making content, all kinds of content. Yep.
Yeah, well, making content. Yeah.
Of course. I had a TV show when I was 15. I mean, obviously, it's not the same. Obviously, it's 1,000 times more interesting and more fun to have your own project, right? So, well, for me, I think it's a time full of opportunities, a lot of possibilities for growth, to create, to do things that at other times everything was like, how would this be? How do you do that? How do you achieve it? You had 1,000 doubts, and those doubts would get resolved over months or years. Yes. Now it's like, well, it's immediate.
But Gibran is asking if we can talk about Bolivia,
Yes.
about the situation in Bolivia.
Look, we've been following the situation, Gibran. Things are very complicated with Bolivia. From the start, there's even talk of a potential coup d'etat. I mean, it's basically, well, a rebellion, right? There's a rebellion going on there by a group that, well, in any case is represented by, or at least whose most visible figure is Evo Morales, right? But let's update it right now, shall we? Let's do it, yeah, if you want.
Currently, they're saying protests in Bolivia have already caused shortages of oxygen and food. This is making the situation in Bolivia worse because since the roads are closed, that's the problem. She just told me that in public hospitals, they had to ration, can you imagine, ration medical oxygen? They had to pause surgeries and cut back on food for patients because the roads had been blocked for 16 days. So this is causing isolation. Certain communities and the...
It's the shortage of food, of medicine. I mean, that's what's happening.
Exactly. Well, the road blockades, which is promoted by the Bolivian Workers Central, and the Tupac Katari Peasant Federation. They are demanding that President Rodrigo Paz resign and a 20% salary increase, which the government considers unfeasible, that it can't be done. And well, this pressure has intensified since Monday of this week, and there have already been, well, strong clashes in front of the government palace. In fact, 11 police officers were injured, and there were more than 100 people detained also at the women's hospital. The director, whose name is Diana Daliaga, says that they are also, well, rationing oxygen. In neonatology, that is the newborns, where there are 29 babies, and well, they can barely manage, and they only have enough oxygen for 7 days, just for 7 days. Imagine that. So yes, it's a really complicated situation, and several hospitals are saying, well, we have enough for 36 hours. We have enough for a few days. So the situation is definitely getting complicated.
Well, yes, it's tough because it doesn't seem like Evo Morales' group wants to negotiate. Everything just keeps escalating more and more. What else?
Also, in the Villa Fatima market, which is in the north of La Paz, they are experiencing a meat shortage. So much so that many prefer to stay closed because it's impossible. Vegetables are becoming scarce, with people saying they're set aside. And if available, prices have already skyrocketed.
There have already been 5 demonstrations, 5 protests demanding an end to the blockades, right? I mean, people are also fed up and they just want this issue to be over. But, well, the problem is still there and it continues.
There are already 4 people who have lost their lives due to the lack of medical attention in Bolivia because there isn't any medicine or they can't get there. I mean, it's really tense.
The situation is tense, of course.
Greetings to Walter. He says it's very hot and he's been sweating since early morning. He says he needs to drink electrolytes to recover in Campeche.
Greetings, Walter. Yes, I can imagine. You have to stay hydrated with, well, let's say, electrolytes. Now, do you make them yourself or do you just drink water? Or how does it work? What is it that people use? Because obviously in humid and hot areas, you get dehydrated faster. So yeah, it's really tough.
Greetings to Raul Rodriguez. With so many deadly viruses, kissing means exchanging microbes and viruses. That's why you have just one partner, not to share with others.
One at most. Yes.
Yes. Well, I'm exchanging other people's microbes in Europe. Right now, they're having.
People know that. I mean, it's like the one who tells you that.
You see,
You see. You see what he says. You see men.
You see, no, judging. No.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
I mean, but still, now they can make a movie, their own movie with her, Hollywood and the dark elites. Starting today, have a great night. Nice chat. I came in and liked it. I'll remember that. You'll let me know.
But at least, I mean, if it's a tool, at least it's useful to give more organization to the script, the screenplay, the technical script. No, not that it's going to do it for you, because no, it's not at that level. But yes, it's useful for that. Bring some order, right? To bring order, it's cool. But that's about it. Honestly, it doesn't go any further than that. Well, although they've held some contests, right? Like making short films and things like that with ideas. But yes, obviously, it requires a lot of editing, I mean, it's not just about typing in a prompt, but yes, they're doing that.
Things. I'm really good at writing. Greetings to Rosalinda Moreno. How are you, Rosalinda? Hello, Alex Orejuela. How are you? What's up here? This one says it's not for us. Greetings to Francisco Arce. One, yes, but the couple who knows says Francisco Arce.
Greetings.
Greetings also from Blanca Barceló. How are you, Blanca? Speak to Victoria Laura Castillo, and greetings from Guadalajara. I made it today, says Victoria. That's great, Victoria. Greetings also to, it says not what the two energies add up to. Now, they're talking there about the energies. Greetings to Mario Falcon, who is watching us from Mendoza, Argentina. How are you, Mario?
Greetings.
Muy abuelas. And then greetings to Luisa Mical, who says, Chamo, what happened? Greetings.
Hello, how have you been, muy abuelas?
Master Sifu says, it's good that there's energy. I read that there's a data center there in Utah that produces the thermal energy of 23 atomic bombs a day. It measures 43. Well, it was already measured. Imagine that. How much does the temperature rise? I also sent you that note. Didn't you mention it? They don't raise it by 2.2 degrees from where they are. So, well, yes, it really is a problem. That and the noise in the United States, when people were surveyed about whether they'd rather live next to a data center or a nuclear plant, they preferred the nuclear plant.
Yes.
Well, yes, because of the noise, since it's also a very annoying noise. Psychologically, hearing that humming all the time is going to get to you, right?
Of course, no, imagine that. Yes, I would leave.
No. Okay, Naval's dad says, if this is for bitter too, a baby crocodile asked his dad, will I have a lot of teeth someday? Yes, son. How many, Dad? When you become a wallet? From those of Raul Rodriguez from the Nuclear War 3. He says the Nuclear War, 3 days of darkness, says Raul, regards.
Raul, how have you been?
Leo Costa Leonardo says, Pepe says, and he says that in the Middle East, the future of all humanity is at stake. He asks.
At the very least, the future of, let's say, the next 2 or 3 years are what's at stake. I mean, it's not exactly the future of all humanity at stake. But if things stay like this, it's going to be 3 complicated years. Yes, it's going to be 3 difficult years. Why do I say only 3? Because the markets also, they balance themselves, right? So, well, there will be other places that will balance out. There will be pipelines. They'll know how to find a way to avoid the Strait of Hormuz in an extreme case where it completely closes. And maybe, well, we could see Iran strengthened in a very short time, right? I mean, who knows? But at least the next 3 years are what's at stake, right? I mean, a 3-year recession can cause a lost decade. I mean, a decade with problems until 2036, right? I mean, that's going to the extreme. Hopefully it doesn't get that bad, right? He says, and just because recession is what wars bring, right? I mean, it's always like recession equals potential wars. He says with Pepe, the 13th, you've already removed Atlas from your heart, and with, no.
It's just that it's too far away.
It's too far now. There's nothing else to say. That's just how it is.
The other day, a topic was used up.
Yes. Topics come up because there's still information that they're supposedly going to declassify. And so that the astrophysicists can analyze it, which is going really slowly, curiously, right? Also, because why is it taking so long? because it's supposed to be just an ordinary comet. Well, not that common either, but it's supposed to be a comet. Well, then reveal all the information you have, right? And that, well, no. And well, information, right? In theory, maybe more later. We'll be covering all of that on Pepe News. So stay tuned. The other channel is called Pepe News. It used to be called Pepe Eclipse. It will be talking about all those topics there because obviously it's something I want to keep following up on. And with Cristobal, how have you been, Verderi? Verderi says, who is the one that truly destabilizes the Middle East? Good question, Verderi. So who is it? I mean, well, that's a good point, right? I mean, to start with, well,
I mean, there
are many factors, right? I mean, it's not just one, but it's a situation that's been building up for decades. And someone had to pop the balloon, right? In this case, well, it was Trump who popped the balloon, so to speak. But that balloon bursts. Now, it bursts in 5 or 10 years, but it bursts. I mean, because that's how it's built. It's designed for that. That's what I think. It says Salud Verderi and Leonardo Pepe. The world was calm with no economic crisis. Then suddenly there's a conflict in the Middle East, another one in Eastern Europe, Ukraine. I mean, that's it. I mean, how did all these problems come together, right? It's like humanity brings them together, right? We're not just going to make more problems, right? Russia says it won't back down. And the US, Israel, and NATO are against Iran. China won't give up on Taiwan, and corruption remains too. The United States said it will defend Taiwan, says Raul. Cheers, Raul.
Greetings to Raul Tapatia. Only 15 days remain until the Grand Azteca Stadium's inauguration, which the president will miss. She won't tolerate the booing, says Tapatia. That's right. Greetings to Cuema, who is watching us from Havana. Greetings, Cuema. What?
Were you what? Cuema. How's it going over there? Greetings.
Greetings to Cristobal, also to Cebolla and Cebollanos, to us, to Adilson. Verderi also asks who has bombed 7 neighboring countries in just 2 years.
Greetings, Verderi.
Oh.
In just 7 years. Well, we're definitely talking about something there. I mean, I imagine even the United States, right? Or whoever you're referring to.
Israel.
To 7 countries.
To 7 countries? Let's see. Lebanon, Syria. Well, Gaza is not a country.
Well, Gaza too.
Let's count the countries. Iran.
Yemen.
Yemen.
5, but well, 2 are missing.
2 would be missing.
Let's see.
But anyway,
That's now 2 countries that have bombed their neighbors.
And the Iranians, well, they've bombed 1, 2, 3.
7 as well.
Well, yes, because it's Bahrain, Qatar, well,
Yes, as well.
Kuwait, United Arab Emirates,
Oman.
Israel, and Turkey.
Yes.
And I don't know about Jordan. I don't remember Jordan. Jordan too. So that's 8. That's just 8. And that's in a period of 3 months, right? Less than 3 months. No, I'm telling you, they are, aren't they? Pepe says they're made for each other. They'll get vaccinated against COVID. Tapatia says so. How are you, Tapatio?
Yeah, well, we're already at a month.
Yeah, I mean,
And besides, COVID is already pretty calm. I mean, way down, right?
yeah. Well, yes, I also think so, that it's already calm. But measles, we did get vaccinated for that. Yes. And for tetanus too, because we're out a lot. We go out a lot, whether we're going to the mountains or here or there. So all those kinds of things, well, I recommend that you always have the tetanus shot. Honestly, we had put it off. Well, at first we did go look for it and there wasn't any. We looked for the tetanus vaccine several times, but it was unavailable. But anyway, now we're here, all 4 of us, all caught up on our shots.
Right? Greetings from Leonardo Pepe. I heard the news where they said that the Argentine government was going to sign an agreement with the United States to jointly protect the whole southern part of the Americas.
all right.
Like Argentina is gonna be kind of doing.
Yes, I saw it. I saw that he's making some kind of collaborative move there. I don't know what the Argentinians think. I find it curious that Argentinians would accept that. I get it from Milei, but it's strange from Argentinians. I don't know what they think. It's just curious. He says it's really crazy. If the goal is to spread his craziness worldwide, watch out. My people say losing health, right?
Greetings. He says, I'm here, breathing and hoping we'll be free soon. God willing, I hope so.
He also sends greetings and asks how you are.
Greetings to Nelson Parrado, who is watching us from Villavicencio, Colombia.
Look at what our viewer Pepe in Peru says. It's interesting. NASA is going to open a base in the north of the country. That's great. Well, Peru is positioning itself in many areas, right? I mean, it has a good relationship with the United States, but also with China and Europe. So it's like Peru is getting along with everyone. And I find that really interesting too.
Not with Mexico, though.
Yes, also with Mexico. Hello, hello. Well, not with the Mexican government, but with Mexico.
Yes, with us, yes, but real Americans.
And there are also those, what are they called? The cable guys, the submarine cable they were going to lay in Chile. Yes, the Chinese. But then there started to be trouble because the United States put pressure on Chile not to do it. So China said, well, then I'll put it in Peru.
So what's the difference?
I mean, the cool thing is that it's going to generate a ton of business for you. I mean, having that cable is going to generate that.
No, because the United States doesn't pressure Peru.
It's not like that with Peru because Peru gets along well with many and is in a better position. Peru and Chile, like, I don't know, with Chile. The United States just wanted to put pressure on Chile. But as far as I know, it hasn't put pressure on Peru. I don't know what agreements there might be or how things are or what the United States thought was going to happen, but there aren't enough submarine cables for Latin America. We're lacking communication. Yeah, I mean, I wish it were more diversified, not just China. For example, one submarine cable from China, another from the US, and another from Europe. I mean, the point is that there should be communication and that we don't just depend on satellites because we already know what can happen with satellites too, right? That's interesting too. What else?
Greetings, it says here, Rodri is really crazy, and the point is to expose yourself to craziness all over the world. Lots of greetings, and he says he read it. Says Mauro la Antitecnica. It hurts a lot. That problem is really tough.
Yes, it hurts. Yes, it hurts. I mean, especially, well, the next day your arm hurts a little more and all that. Yes.
Also,
A little bit for me, if I touched it a little like this, and I think it hurt the older one a bit too, but not more than that. Just one day. What else does it say? Regards.
it says, well, but he's like Roberto Carlos. He has a million friends, says the Observer. Rodriguez says, they say they're going to cut all the submarine cables. Well, Iran, supposedly that's how it is, kind of.
They want to cut them. Some have already been cut. Yes, just like they get cut, they also get fixed. But yeah, it's a hassle dealing with that issue. So in theory, they shouldn't do it, right? Likewise, there haven't been any accidents in the Baltic Sea, for example, with those cables. Yeah, well, the strain is changing. And yes, I'll get my 6th booster. I still wear a mask in public places. And if I go, he always greets me with a mask. Look how interesting this match is. Thank you very much.
If you're a pulmonologist like that, imagine how many people go.
Pulmonologist.
Pulmonologist. Okay. Well, in general, doctors are seeing people all the time.
Yes, I've seen that in practically every or almost every hospital. I've seen that they still wear them, of course.
They keep bringing it since you never know.
Not just for the code, but for anything else too.
Greetings to James. He says, of course, Pepe. That way the governments wouldn't go after us. But I love both of you. I always watch you, but work keeps me from writing. Sending a distant hug, my beloved. Being light is good, and you will be light.
It's great here. Thank you so much. A big hug to you. And, well, I feel exactly the same way. Or not like that. Yes, it's true. Peruvians and Mexicans get along really well. I think that's it. Or actually, we Latinos get along very well.
Yes, in general, yes. Leonardo Pepe says that every time there's an accident of any kind, for example, a plane crash, an explosion somewhere, a political crisis, and so on, everything related to the war that's going on, we connect it all. I think it's the war between China and the United States.
That strange hybrid war, right? Because it's a war. But supposedly there's also some kind of partnership. Greetings. All the way to Waxahachie, Texas. How are you all doing? Hello. Santana, hello. Jose Gonzalez, also a big greeting. How are you, Jose, my namesake? And thank you very much for like number 199. We're about to reach like number 200. That's great because I think we won't reach 400 today, but more than half of you gave a like. Thank you very much. There's a problem right now, and other colleagues on YouTube are also mentioning it, that it's not being shared. It's not being distributed well. Yeah, something weird is going on with the videos. I think they're making changes or something. So I'm asking you, please help us out. Help us by liking and sharing with your networks. Because if not, the notifications don't reach you, or you get the notification later, or only when you remember to check. Look, 86% of the people who are subscribed come back to the channel. I mean, that's a really, really big percentage. Those who return, watch us live, watch later, or view short videos are engaging in various ways. But that's what it is. Yes, it's a community. It's a very, very connected community. But what we love is that people can connect live whenever possible. And if the notification doesn't come through, well, that's tough.
And they say it. Currently, there have been widespread reports of YouTube service interruptions worldwide. Yes, it's very likely that it's a problem on their end, a temporary glitch in the app or browser.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. I mean, if there's a glitch, a lot of people are already reporting it.
Some people say it sounds bad. I mean, that the sound on YouTube is not working properly. Slow motion, that's strange.
That's why they're hacking me. There's something weird going on. Yeah, I mean, it's something with the network, not with us, but yeah. Yes, it's true. Yes, exactly. Antonio says, Pepe says, always attentive. Thanks, Antonio. You didn't greet me from Texas. And yes, we've been waiting 67 years for a beautiful future, and all we see is misery and repression, says the one who sends the most greetings, and I completely understand what you're saying. It's a topic where neither Cuba nor Cubans deserve that. I think they have. Well, now I have the pleasure of meeting many Cubans here in Mexico. We had a great Cuban teacher, by the way, in a film class, right? In a film class. Over there at the School of Communication at the Regiomontana University, and an excellent teacher, right? And well, besides their writers, there's a lot of talent, so much talent, but they often have to leave to explore that talent they have, right? And it would be great if they could also explore it there and achieve many things, right? I mean, that's really it. It's an issue that's been urgent for many years now, right? This is what Leonardo Pepe says. I don't trust agreements like the one between the United States and China, since history shows that Nazi Germany's non-aggression pact with the USSR failed. If not, most agreements aren't honored or are carried out badly, but there are others that are honored, right? We should remember that free trade agreements between Mexico and the United States, though they have changed over time, have transformed the North American economy, including Canada. I mean, right now in this chart of world economies, Mexico appears more or less as the 13th or 14th largest economy in the world. And that's partly because of that agreement too, right? There's a treaty more than just an agreement. So, yes, they are important. But when countries are already so opposed to each other, it's really hard for them to be honored. Honestly, on that topic, I agree that it's difficult, right? But also, since they're needed, there's no other way. I mean, they're necessary. Unlike Germany and Russia, there wasn't the mutual dependency seen between China and Russia, China and the United States, or the United States and China. A dependency that's way too big on both sides, says Lord. Now, I'm reminded of another issue. When ads play, our voices are replaced by the ad audio, causing important information to be lost. Several people have mentioned this to us. We really have no control over that issue. I mean, it's something the platform itself does, and many of us have already mentioned that to the platform. Hopefully, in the future, they can change it, because ideally, it shouldn't get cut. I mean, I understand that you want to keep watching the video, but if the video doesn't have audio, that's tough, right? Because it loses value. Like you said, important information gets lost. We're going to keep insisting on this issue. We'll see if it can be resolved, because several people have already mentioned it, especially on TV. I think that's where it happens. It seems to me on TV. I don't know if it happens on cell phones too.
It's just that it's happened to me. Well, it's just that we're about to give out another prize.
But if that's the case, it's another thing. I mean, those who can, if they can, they could buy YouTube Premium. YouTube Premium lets you avoid ads. And let's say what you pay to YouTube, it's like paying for Netflix. Well, that also gets distributed among the creators you watch, right? So that's also a way to support creators and not have ads, right? That's also there for this kind of thing.
I mean, the thing is, there are a lot of people here. Many talented people have had to emigrate because with the economy being held hostage, you can't move forward.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. YouTube says it. They have to make money with ads. Exactly. Or with YouTube Premium. I mean, they say, no, I don't want ads. Well, that's what YouTube Premium is for, or I don't mind if they put them. So there it is. It's like those two options. That's how it is.
Two options.
Go.
Come on, guys. Remember that we're on WhatsApp and Telegram, but we're also on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Great. It says, stop the ads. Other programs are coming in. I'm joining.
That's what they are.
Other programs, it's just blank. You realize you're watching, then suddenly you're in a different program. I didn't know.
That's not right.
If it's not right, because just imagine, I mean, it cuts off and another program automatically starts in the middle of a show. That's why to talk about it, right? Because really, that shouldn't happen. I'm going to save the comment here to check it out. Let's see what's going on with that. Has anyone else had that issue?
But maybe it's just that, honey. The thing is that on YouTube you can pay so that I'm gonna go into my house. Greetings, yes, podcast. For you, I mean, just imagine between train.
Greetings. Yes, podcast for. I mean, just imagine between a podcast.
And the thing is, you can pay to have your video published and advertised.
Glad you understand, but I get it too.
It happens to me, and it will.
I mean, I get that you. I mean, there are people who pay for an ad to show up, but not for it to show up in the middle of it.
Another show.
Exactly.
It's never taken me to another show. You say, hey, now you have to chop
And if he goes to the bar, he says it happened to me in the afternoon.
in the afternoon. That's so crazy. And he says, no, he goes straight to the next live show. He says, uh-huh.
No, for you, things are going well.
And he says, besides, they're really long videos.
I can imagine.
Early in the morning, I won a prize. It says, greetings.
Greetings from DRM Edilicia Blanca. Thank you very much for the comments. Thank you. Well, we hadn't heard that before. We'll check it out. Well, the next meeting we have with them, we'll let them know.
So they don't trip me up.
Yes. Hey, well, it's just no.
Trip.
Thanks so much for everything. We've been here since early. Let me tell you, we're seeing how it is, which formats people like the most. Obviously, we're always checking the feedback. In the morning, we're trying to keep the live stream short and direct. Today, it wasn't possible. Today, it had to be a bit longer, but we're trying to keep the live streams focused on specific topics. And that,
It goes like that.
yes, and the live streams play continuously. If you want to keep watching, just let it run. It will automatically connect from one stream to the next in the morning. That's our approach. Tonight, we did it this way since the topics are so different. But in the morning, we usually split them into 20 or 30-minute segments, right? So in the morning, there tend to be fewer comments because the community is busy with other things too. They're mostly listening and not participating. So there's less conversation than at night. That's why we do it this way. Ada says, you never say, go, go, go. Yes, we have PayPal, Antonio. Thank you very much. It's in the description. Isa, there's the PayPal. Support via PayPal, OXXO, or Super Chat is appreciated. All support options are in the description. A big shout out to Saludos, Zapateada. Hope you're doing well, Antonio, Arati, Mok, Adil, and the whole community. Thank you so much. Have an excellent night. Cheers, Blanca. What else?
See you. And I've said everything.
That's everything, right? Great. We'll see you tomorrow.
We interrupt your regular programming. Sintonizar la verdad. This is PP Live. La verdad es intensa. Lo insólito es real. Aquí lo analizamos, enfoque global. No te quedes fuera, conecta al canal. Pepe en vivo controlando la señal. Pepe y Astrid tirando la neta. Periodismo crudo, aquí se respeta. Activa la alerta, no pierdas la pista. Hasta la próxima. ¡Sí, señor! Let's take attendance. Suscríbete.